Well, back then, many of the recruiting videos were sent on DVDs. I was able to recruit Peter through a very good friend of mine that does some international recruiting and watches videos. We needed a scoring forward badly. I remember I was walking around the National Coaches Convention when I got the phone call in January that he was going to come.
August 8th, 1998. First day I stayed over at Coach Matt's house, and he had basically just decided that I was going to live with Peter. He just decided he's Swedish, you're Norwegian. You should just, you should live together. Then we met Peter, and then we sort of just sat down and talked for like hours and became roommates, friends, and teammates ever since. Yeah.
I felt like Petter just was really wanted to try to understand American culture, understand what it meant to be, a college student. The international players that had success at Northeastern were kids that really kind of bought into, understanding the American culture, whether it was just on the field, off the field, and Petter was really, bought into all of that. Going into a game, you had a chance to win because you had someone who could score goals. And I think that's the hardest thing in soccer. And so to have that on our side was pretty cool. No matter who we played, we're like, hey, we have a chance to win because we just got to get him the ball and there's a good chance he's going to score.
I think he was really good at demonstrating to others what the standard was without necessarily expecting it of other people, if that makes sense. He was just like, I'm here, I'm doing my business, and you can follow along or not.
What I saw early on in practices was, he loved playing soccer. He loved practicing.
I remember being at Parsons one day, and we were kind of the tail end of practice, and we were doing a little shooting drill, and we had the goals maybe at half field, so that the space was pretty tight, and I'm a goalie. And we were sitting there, and it's garbage time in practice, and guys are kind of packing up. And I remember one ball comes into his feet. He's maybe 3 feet away from me and just drills it as hard as he could, and it just goes whizzing right by my face. I was like, holy crap, he was just trying to get the most out of it.
One of Peter's years, we went down and played NC State and Duke. We'd only read about these schools. We'd only heard about their soccer programs. And we beat NC State on the first day. The Sunday, we had to play Duke, who I believe was number 13 in the country at the time. We ended up beating Duke 1-0, and Peter was the one that scored the lone goal. I think when you can leave Northeastern, or you can leave your soccer career and tell his kids back home that, hey, I scored against Duke and I scored against University of Virginia. His Swedish kids may not know who those schools are, but we certainly do.
I remember so many little things, right? I would always rollerblade back and forth to practices, we'd rollerblade everywhere we went. So, every day we'd probably be doing 10, 15K rollerblading. In addition to sort of everything, but we didn't think of it as practice.
I think Petter was one of the players in our program who set the standard for what a Northeastern soccer player was.
Fortunately, I've played with the other two people that are in the Hall of Fame, Anders and Bjorn. The standard of excellence, of wanting to be the best, probably the thing for all three of them. Their personalities are all very different, to be fair. And I think for Petter, really did care about Northeastern, cared about the soccer program, cared about what was going on at the school. And I always felt like he was someone that just really loved being a Northeastern student athlete.
He's the greatest guy. He was my best man at my wedding. He's been my great friend ever since. Everybody loves him. Everybody loved him, and everybody still loves him. Everything that he has achieved, it's all well deserved.